Paul, there's a biblical change coming, and I don't even know all the details of how this is going to work.
Okay.
This is like a pretty big change, actually. So I think Raphael tweeted it out. He was on a call yesterday that I think this is public information. I mean, he tweeted it out, and everybody's talking about it.
Now
and
it
digging
is.
through
Yeah.
the notes. It's that File Explorer is moving to the Win App SDK. I believe, if I've got that information correctly. Like, they are like redoing Explorer and Win App.
Well, okay. It's hard to know what that means because File Explorer.
This is what I mean. This is like, here's the, I can't even see the screens because Windows screwed up hilariously. This is the press. We are like 1 millimeter above hot off the press.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, but I mean, just like confronted by that sentence, I look at File Explorer today and I say to myself, well, this is very clearly a Win UI front end to what has always been a classic desktop application, right? So moving to, what would you say, Win UI, not Win UI, a Win App SDK. So this is the, I'm going to put it in quotes because it's not real, desktop version of UWP.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the ways you can target Win UI. It's probably easy. I assume they did some kind of a XAML island, something. I don't know.
It's going to XAML. And so here's why this is, maybe this just only impacts me and like nobody else cares, but it impacts developers significantly because anybody who is tapped into a File Explorer process, this
you know what,
more than likely is going to break that experience.
100% is going to break if that's right. You know what I mean? Like, so, geez, I gotta find his tweet. I mean, I guess I assume you just read the thing.
Yeah, if you just go to Raf's Twitter.
I don't know what that means. I don't. The reason I don't know what it means is because I don't know exactly what it is today. Although I think it's what I just said, and the fact that if you've written any extensions to File Explorer and they still work in Windows 11, then it is exactly what I just said, right? So that's got to be the case.
But we don't think that's the case going forward. So this is where it gets.
That's the question. Like, it's like, so what does that mean?
Right.
You know, like, I don't.
So here's
Do you
the
think they
other
would
thing that is in tandem to this, which we have been seeing internally for a little bit now. It looks like Microsoft's ripping out all the legacy Windows 10 guts, meaning the old taskbar, the old File Explorer viewpoints. A lot of that stuff looks like it's finally on the chopping block, which will have different ramifications.
People that were relying on, like you meaning Startup might rely on some legacy, I'll call it legacy, stuff, right? I mean,
there's a little bit. So we hedged with this for a little bit for Start 11. It's not. So there's competing. There's like OpenShell and other things that literally all they do is just resurface the Windows 10 stuff. We don't do that for the most part. We're not. There are things still in the registry. I think like taskbar at the top of the display is like just a reg key flip, and so that's legacy. But a lot of the Start 11 stuff is bespoke to us that we built intentionally because we figured this was going to happen. Honestly, we thought this was going to happen a long time ago, but we kind of lost that bet. So,
all right, this is confusing.
It is.
So, just for people who don't understand, Win App SDK is a partial solution to the problems of UWP in that UWP features versions targeted specific versions of Windows 10 back in the day, so they decoupled those APIs and Win UI and Edge HTML or Edge whatever that thing's called from specific Windows versions and are calling this thing Win App SDK, and it's basically UWP. If you use Visual Studio, if you didn't, like anyone would ever do this, but if you were to create a new Win App SDK project, it's technically a desktop app, but it's not a desktop app like a Win32. It's just that I don't know why that. It's kind of weird, but it's a step back from the UWP promise of cross-platform support, right? The universal in UWP was about those apps running on HoloLens and Windows Phone and Xbox, Surface Hub. I might be missing something. Maybe some. That's roughly probably the family of stuff. So they would have said tablets and PCs, like those are two different things,
So like, this is on one hand, this is like nuclear because this could break like literal decades of applications that have been built around these processes. Like going back to, I think, 95 maybe. Like this is like baked into Windows.
So yes, I mean you're right. This is a lot like the central discussion around Windows 11, right? Pretty new face. Oh, wait a minute. Where's this feature I relied on? It's gone. And on the one hand, you have to sort of respect Microsoft making the hard decisions to draw a line in the sand finally and saying, look, we can't just have backward compat for everything forever. But on the other hand, that hurts people and breaks things. And so you try to find the middle ground on that. So is there some version of this where they could retain extensibility? Probably, but knowing the way Windows 11 is developed, I think we can all agree it's probably going to break everything on day one, and they'll see how many complaints come in, and maybe they'll fix a few things.
Yeah.
It would be a tremendous amount of engineering work, I would imagine, too.
And the question is why? Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so in other words, if you were to create I have my stupid little notepad app, right? So I created this thing. I created a UWP version. If I was to go in today and create a new version of it using the Windows App SDK, which would basically be 100% code compatible, it's probably almost exactly the same. Would the resulting Win App SDK version of the application be smaller, more lightweight? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It seems to me. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, you got to take some pretty good engineers who are working on Windows, because I would imagine redoing File Explorer is not a trivial task. I mean, it is a core component of the operating system. Yeah. And saying, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go take that File Explorer, you're gonna redo it, and then we're gonna ship it.
Here's my guess. So now I'm processing this. This is kind of a fog of war thing. So here's my guess. I will say File Explorer, one of the weird things about it in Windows 11 is it's a key part of the UI that has been screwed with repeatedly. There have literally been 3 different versions of File Explorer since Windows 11 debuted about 15 months ago. That's a lot of churn. Now, when I say versions of File Explorer, of course, what I'm talking about is the UI. And my suspicion is that they're using XAML Islands or something. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to simplify the discussion. It's a Win UI front end to what has been File Explorer dating back to Windows 2000 or something. There's no doubt about that, or whenever they grabbed it last. That's why all that extensibility still works. And we know they're going to screw with it again. They've been talking about further changes. The homepage is going to look a little bit more like Office.com or whatever. I
wonder if that's why they are doing it.
That's what I'm thinking. That they can't. So it would be incredibly difficult to keep expanding File Explorer in that fashion because it's just UI stuff. If they could just go pure Win UI, like straight up, which is Win App SDK will give you that. It's less complicated than doing this thing on a thing they've been doing for the past few versions. That maybe, I don't know why they have to screw with it. Honestly, I feel like File Explorer is the type of thing that's leave it alone is fine. But they obviously feel like they can get more engagement. I'm sure it's going to be a vector for ads and for pushing Microsoft services and whatever. But that has to be the reason that it's not so much that they can't do it. It's just so hard, like just bite the bullet. And now they have this more I'm using the word extensible in a different way, but extensible internally for them, right, to keep adding features.
God, imagine that's why they're doing this.
It has to be, right?
That is insane.
It's the reason you're right, and the reason it's insane is, like I said, you don't need to touch this. To leave it alone, it's fine. Jesus, just leave it alone. I don't know. It's Explorer.exe has been the UI for Windows since Windows 95.
Yeah,
like you said that. Right before that, it was Program Manager, Progman. So
yeah,
this is essentially in many ways it's kind of the center of all the I mean File Explorer is an app, I know that, but I mean it
runs a lot of processes though.
I wonder if they're going to decouple it from that central process,
They might.
And maybe that's the point, make it more of like a store app.
Ugh.
No, I know. But then again, not that they would ever do this, but that opens up the possibility of you could go in and say, I want to use a different default app like Files or something for my file manager. I don't think they'll never do that. I don't even know why I just said that, but they could. I mean, they could do that. But
I get what you mean, but like, ugh, ugh.
I know. No, I know.
Just,
they won't do that. Yeah.
Not that Files is bad, but it's more of like replacing your default file. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, because here comes Files 365 as part of Office 365. Get the full experience and navigate all your files with a breeze. It's now part of E5 only.
Well, you said that sarcastically, partially.
No, I'll be drinking bleach when that ships, but it's.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Windows is part of Microsoft 365. I mean, you could make File Explorer. Well, File Explorer today arguably is somewhat better if you have Microsoft 365, I guess. I mean, in some small way. I don't, dude. This is. I don't know. Oh, it's like getting smacked in the face the second you wake up. I don't know what to say to this. I don't know what. Like I said, I just keep saying the same thing. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, the fortunate thing is they didn't have a blog post ready for explaining what this means, and.
So this came on some kind of a community
call, and then Raph actually, I think, tweeted out a clip of it where they talked about it, where they just dropped this gargantuan bombshell on developers, and hey, that's just in passing.
Yes. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I wish I.
We could ask Bing AI.
So we're going to talk about that briefly.
Hold on. Let's just ask. What does File Explorer using Win App SDK actually mean? It still says something went wrong. It's like I can't use it, but maybe they blocked me. Let's try and test.
So I can get this thing to work using like the dev version of Edge. Like if for some reason it just lets me in. So like what technology is File Explorer?
Oh, I guess I can try it in dev. I've not tried that yet. Everybody's just watching us query in real time.
Well, yeah, and as exciting as that is, I think what you're going to... So what you'll see in Bing AI is that... Oh, actually it did. Never mind. According to some sources, File Explorer uses a new technology called Win UI, which provides styles and controls to rejuvenate the visuals. It replaces the old ribbon interface with a modern Fluent design with less text and more icons. Okay, that's what I said. So, but yeah, okay.
I got the same answer.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, that's actually pretty good then. Listen, when Microsoft announced this Win UI stuff and started, like, before there was a Win App SDK, obviously I looked at this. I was excited. Like, one of the things I wanted to do was take like the WPF version of my app and convert it, change the UI to Win UI. Mm-hmm. This is a daunting process. And I just was like, yeah, it's not very interesting. This will become out of date over time, of course, because new features are only going to Win App SDK. But as of today, you could write a UWP app like I did and see the modern UI if you want to do that, basically. I mean, that's quickly becoming out of date, but, for a little while there, they're kind of the same thing, right? I mean, but UWP, I think, is Win UI 2, and we're on Win UI 3 or whatever. I don't know, dude. This is I don't know. What a weird thing to wake up to.
Yeah. Well, it's also raining. We've gotten over 2 inches. My backyard looks like a small lake. Thankfully, the drains I put in are working, but yeah.
My house is now for sale. I hope it does not rain.
I mean, I could put it up for now, be like, hey, personalized ocean, like that. BYOB, bring your own boat.
I live at the top of a hill, so I'm good on the ocean front, but
I guess mine's more of like so I'm on a hill, but I'm not at the top, but I'm way far from the bottom. I'm like 2 or 3
Yeah.
houses from the top, so a lot of it like kind of like
Yep.
45 degrees across my backyard.
I mean, my front yard and my driveway is basically a double black diamond, so there's no worry about water. We've never had water in the basement or anything. Well, other than the stuff that came up through the sewer. There's always that bit of fun. But anyway, yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, so we got Bing AI, we got the world ending for File Explorer, maybe. If we don't know.
So Bing AI, just quickly, since we spent a lot of time on this other thing. I wrote about this. I've talked about this. Microsoft made this announcement, and I feel like people who should have known better lost their shit. And we're like, oh my God, this is it. They've killed Google. It's over. Kevin Roos, idiot from the New York Times, was like, I can't believe I'm writing this, but I'm switching to Bing. And I was like, are you now? Are you? He has written his mea culpa today in the New York Times. He was wrong, as I knew he was the second I read those words. Bing has turned on him, as AI does. And what we're seeing now is all the insane things that Bing AI does because it doesn't work, because it's Bing, which is what I've been saying since day one. You know, this irrational exuberance over they did it somehow. You know, it's like, did they? If you go and look at the news feeds today, you'll see lots of people being like, oh boy, this thing has told me that it's sentient. It's told me to get off the internet. It's told me that I'm a bad person. It's incredible, like how out of whack this thing is. Once again, leading to that rhetorical question, Microsoft had to have known this. Why did they release this? And you get quotes from people like Frank Shaw who are like, well, we've taken the feedback and we've adjusted the way, like it tends to get freaky over long chats. So we've kind of fiddled with that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, this is what you should have been doing before you released it. I don't understand how something of this quality gets out into the world. And, you know, we talked about this on Windows Weekly yesterday, but God help you if you're a 12, 13, 14-year-old person, emotionally insecure, not sure about where you are in life, and this thing starts berating you. And this sounds like a super overreaction, and I please do not read it this way, but it is only a matter of time before this thing as it exists today kills somebody. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
I think it was Raph and I were talking about this. We were like, somebody is going to query this thing as like, is it okay to mix bleach and ammonia when you're cleaning your bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to town. Yeah.
And it comes up with the wrong thing. It's like, oh yeah, most people say it's fine, but actually you're making chlorine gas. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the irresponsibility. I think it was you and I compared it with someone to like when Apple Maps came out, it was taking people to the wrong places or places that didn't exist or cities or towns that were 30 miles to the west of where it said they were, that kind of thing. That could be dangerous, you know. Out in the middle of Montana in the winter with a blinding snowstorm, if you're using a stupid thing, you get lost and it kills you. The amounts of ways and times in which a general purpose search engine could give you bad information that could lead to your demise is far greater than on a map app. And because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And it is scary that they think this thing is ready for prime time. And in a rare moment where Google showed a lot more maturity, they internally came to this conclusion about the same thing for the same reason. They're like, we have this too, and we didn't put it out because now they overreacted and did their own stupid stuff. But everyone jumped on this one factual mistake and one example of the Google thing. People now are going back to the examples Microsoft provided that day, and they're like, actually, this thing was wrong like 17 different times. Yeah. Yeah. And I just, this is, jeez. I don't look, I so rarely get to say I was right. I don't mean like I told you so. I don't mean it like that exactly. It's hard not to kind of fall into that pattern, but this should have been, my point is only this should have been obvious to everyone. And it's embarrassing that people went to that event, sat in an audience for 30 minutes, watched someone play a video of scripted responses, and then determined that the world had just changed. And then went and sat down and used the thing and got baloney responses and still were like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's early days. It's like, no, it's not fine.
Do you think that's why it wasn't live streamed?
Yeah, I do. Okay, yes. I think the answer is yes. Although, what do you do? I mean, they're going to have to stream it. If you were at that event and it screwed up and Microsoft edited that out, that would be even worse than screwing up on a live stream, right? I think. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. But yes, I do think that is why. And, it's like, oh, not everyone wants to sit here and watch me type. So we did this yesterday to save your time because we respect your time. No, actually, I think we want to watch you type.
Yeah.
I think we want to watch you type. Having just written this, a year ago or whatever, going back over the history of Windows, one of the most exciting moments of all time was PDC 2003, when Don Box and Chris Soma and Chris Anderson got up on stage and live coded to XAML and to C# and to Avalon at the time, which became WPF, and created apps out of thin air, and just to show you how powerful this thing was. And there were, text moving around and resizing and, rescaling, I should say. And if you look at the videos for subsequent PDCs, which I have, you'll see they stopped doing that. And it's a lot less interesting. They're like, all you got to do is write a few lines of code. And then they paste it in from somewhere else, and it's 1,100 lines of code, and it just works. And you're like, yeah, I'm sure it does just work, but you just didn't. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Like live coding is tough. Live presenting is tough. I mean, I get that. And yes, you don't want to see someone type in code necessarily, unless you're a developer at a developer show, by the way. But whatever. This is... Everyone acted like this was like we were coronating a new king, and all we've done is uncovered that the fool is the same fool as he was the day before. Make us a poem, because that's all you're good for. You plagiarizing piece of crap.
The Emperor has no search results.
Exactly.